Okay, welcome to another episode of United for a Healthy Stoughton. Today's we are focusing on excellence at the O'Donnell Middle School, and so I have with me the middle school principal, Mr. Matt Colantonio. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So one of the things that's like really exciting that's happening right now at the middle school is that you were won Principal of the Year for middle schools across the state of Massachusetts. So I want to start with that, and first by saying congratulations, and then
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, so a few months ago, I received an email from the State Association for School Administrators, the MSAA, and they had informed me that I was nominated for Middle School Principal of the Year. So I double-checked to verify that that was a real email and not some spam thing. Or so I had been nominated by some staff people who work at the school, and they had invited me to apply for consideration.
Yep.
So the application process was some written material. There were a few short essay questions for me, one long essay question for me to be considered at the state level, and some information about the school, some information about myself.
Yep.
So I had submitted that, and then I found out that I was a finalist. I had figured out, they didn't tell me how many finalists there were in Massachusetts, but I had kind of figured out that there were 5 middle school principals being considered as finalists. So then there was an interview process. I had to go in and interview with a panel. There was a retired superintendent. There was a current assistant superintendent, a current middle school principal, and then a gentleman named Mike Conley, who's sort of the head of middle school, all things middle school at the State Association. So there was a panel there, and I interviewed. And then almost immediately after the interview, the very next day, they let me know that I was the choice for 2018.
Awesome.
Somewhere along the road there was a parent, a student, and a teacher who had to agree to write a statement on my behalf. So that was part of the process too. I'm not exactly sure how it all played out, but that's how I became the choice for this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now what happens with that? You get to go to DC, or did that already happen?
No, so there's the State Association's summer conference, annual conference, takes place at the end of July in Hyannis. So I'll be recognized there, as well as the high school principal of the year, a gentleman down the Cape from Monomoy High School. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
It's always tricky to say. So we'll be recognized down there in Hyannis at the state conference. And then we will go to Washington, D.C. in September, and we will represent Massachusetts down at the national conference in D.C. In September. And the National Association of Secondary School Principals, they do a conference in Chicago over the summer. I'm not positive that I'll be invited to attend that conference, but I might be invited to attend that as well. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Yay. So that's really good, and it's good for the district, and so that's exciting. So I was going to ask you, how did you launch your career into teaching, and did you, like when you were a kid, did you say, I really want to be a principal in middle school?
No, definitely not. So no, I kind of accidentally fell into teaching, I guess. When I first went to college, I was an advertising design major.
Oh wow, that's a change.
Yeah, I was an art major, but I knew I wanted to be in either graphic design or advertising. So my freshman year I went to Syracuse, and I was an advertising design major. Because I was an art major, I didn't have to take freshman composition, the English course that all freshmen had to take. I got to take creative writing instead, which was great. So I took creative writing and then fell in love with writing. So then after my freshman year of school, I changed majors, I changed schools. I loved Syracuse, but I paid my own way through college. So I got my first bill from Syracuse, and I said, thank you, Syracuse. I transferred what I thought would be temporarily to the University of Massachusetts Boston campus. Changed my school, changed my major. I became an English major. In the beginning, I just wanted to be a writer. I really just wanted to write, so I took all writing courses at UMass. I ended up staying at UMass, kind of fell in love with that campus. It was kind of a great campus for someone paying their own way. And I was working full time, taking classes. So I wanted to be a writer. Around my junior year as an undergraduate, I said to myself, you know, I might not be able to pay the bills as a writer.
Right.
So I thought to myself, I'll get certified to teach. There was a program at UMass at the time. You could do a concentration in education, and you could do your student teaching, and you could get certified to teach. So I figured, hey, I'll do that. It was an extra semester of coursework, but I decided I would do that. That was my backup plan.
Yep.
I was going to be a writer, but I was going to be certified to teach just in case. So then when I went to do my student teaching, which was the last semester as an undergraduate, I did my student teaching in a high school classroom at Winthrop High School, home of the Vikings, and fell in love with it.
Yep.
So it was 2 weeks into that student teaching experience that I said, this is what I wanted, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yep.
And so I ended up taking my first teaching job at Stoughton High School, and did that for my first few years in education, and loved every minute of it.
Wow, so you've been a Stoughton guy since the beginning of your career.
Yep, my first job was at Stoughton High School. I loved that job, fell in love with the community, loved Stoughton High School, loved teaching there. I was lucky enough to teach with a great department, and just the community that I work in is a lot like the community that I live in. I live in Quincy, so it's a very diverse population, a diverse community, a blue-collar identity, down-to-earth people, both places, so fell in love with it and kind of never looked back.
Yep. And then how did you go from high school teacher to middle school principal?
Yep. So again, it was kind of accidental. So I did a program as a teacher. I did my master's program in educational leadership to get certified to be an assistant principal or a principal, kind of a just-in-case type of thing. I figured, why not? This would be the next step, and I figured I would get certified to do it. I needed my master's degree anyway. Took some English coursework to stay certified in English, and then got certified to be an assistant principal. A job opened up the year that I was finishing that program at the O'Donnell Middle School for assistant principal, and I figured that I should practice interviewing for an administrator job. I knew that they would interview me down at OMS because I worked in the district, but I had no experience at the middle school level. So I honestly went into that interview process thinking that it would be very nice to practice interviewing for a job like that, but didn't think I would be considered for that job the year that I did it. I wasn't even finished with my program yet when I was interviewing. But lo and behold, I became a finalist for that job, and they offered me that assistant principal job, so I figured, what the heck, I'll try it. And I tried it, fell in love with that position, loved middle school, but kind of missed the high school, so I went back for a little stint. I did that job for 3 years, went back. I was the high school assistant principal for 3 or 4 weeks. That job opened up for principal, and I was able to slide into that position. I became the high school principal for 2 years. Really missed the middle school as an administrator. So when Mr. Hester retired as the principal of the O'Donnell Middle School, I requested a transfer back to that position, and I've been there ever since.
Yep, great.
This is my 6th year down to middle school.
Awesome, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the middle school and to sort of tie it back into some of the prevention work that we have going on in the community. So one of the things that we know about kids and adolescents, and that you know really well, is that we want to, we need to provide them with ways to sort of protect them and insulate them from some of the risky things that adolescents really like to do, because we know developmentally kids love taking risks. And so we talk a lot about, in my work around substance abuse prevention stuff, we talk about how do we reduce risks, but then also another really important piece of this is how do we build up and how do we build protection. And so I think we have a little graphic that Jeffrey scanned for me of with a tree. Let's see if we can get it. There it is. So that talks about, when we want to build healthy behaviors, how we all have a hand in this, the family, the schools, the community, individual and peer relationships. And what we really want to be working on is actually the trunk of that tree, which is bonding. And so there's actually a lot of literature about how do we keep kids connected and bonded in school. And in fact, school connectedness is one of the most important protective factors, it turns out, according to the research, in terms of keeping kids safe from being involved in violent behavior, alcohol and other drug use, all sorts of risky things. So You know, one of the, I think, places that we do this really well is at the middle school. I feel like we have a great history of building protective factors with our kids. And so I wanted us to talk a little bit about some of the ways that you guys are already doing that and some of the innovative things that are kind of maybe coming online. And so there are 4 tenets, I guess, to this, to building protection for for kids in terms of an academic setting. So one of them is adult support. One of them is belonging to positive pro-social peer groups, commitment to education, so kids really feeling like the school cares about their ability to have a good educational experience and being successful, and then sort of the school environment, both the physical school environment and then the sort of social school environment. So let's start with adult support. And so can you share with me a couple of the ways that the middle school demonstrates or encourages adults supporting their students? I know there are a zillion things, but
yeah, and I think that those, when we think of that tree graphic, so much of that is important in any school, at any level, but really the middle school, it's kind of a fascinating and very challenging developmental period for children. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to return to the middle school was certainly the age group and how you can really impact some positive things in a kid's life at the age of 11 and 12 and 13 before they're making those maybe risky decisions or negative decisions. That's an age where you can really have an impact. And without a doubt, adult support is what makes or breaks any middle school. And so at that age, if the viewers or yourself, if you can think of kids who are 11, 12, and 13, they are often not thought of by the adults in their lives as the easiest kids to deal with. And that's because developmentally they're at an age where they are naturally distancing themselves from the adults who have told them what to do their whole lives. So it's a particular challenge to work with those kids and to develop those relationships. But a middle school is all about its ability to develop relationship with students. Students at that age will only perform, will only achieve if they feel like there are adults around them who are committed to their success and who genuinely take an interest. So at the middle school, probably everything that we do, I was going to say nearly everything that we do is about relationships. So when I hire new teachers, I'm looking for subject matter, knowledge. Of course, I want someone who can teach math. But at the same time, I'm looking for someone with the ability to demonstrate to kids that they care about their success, care about them as people. Because I know, and people who work in the middle school know, that you can't have one without the other. So I could have the most talented mathematician of all time walk into my building, and if they can't connect with kids and build personal relationships, and if they can't communicate to kids that they really care about their success, they're not going to make it in my school and at any middle school. So that's part of what we're doing, or what we always do. We also have a team structure at the middle school where kids are thrown into this, in 6th grade, they're thrown into this schedule where they have 7 different teachers, 7 sets of expectations, a bigger building, 7th and 8th graders, and they're trying to juggle all these things. So the way that we try to keep a little insulated, warm and fuzzy cocoon for them as they go to 6th grade is with teams. So we have 3 teams at every grade. The teachers share the same third of the students in each grade. They get to know them really well. They have common planning time. They do team meetings, team competitions, team awards, team achievements, and that's a way to let kids know that they are supported and that the adults care for them. We also have a guidance counselor for every grade level, 2 adjustment counselors, and in almost everything that we do, we are trying to promote to kids that we want them to achieve academically. That's great, but we also care about them as human beings, which is equally as important.
Awesome, excellent. And so you alluded to one of the ways that kids have these sort of positive peer groups is through the team structure. So right away, sort of the way things are organized is they have this ability to be with the same group of students and to kind of get to know them really well in addition to the teachers. What are some of the other really sort of positive, pro-social opportunities for kids at the middle school that they can get involved with their peers?
Yeah. So our guidance counselors, positive peer relationships, that's top priority, might be number one. So guidance counselors are working with students on succeeding academically and also about finding positive peer groups to identify with. If kids are having trouble making friends, guidance counselors might do lunch groups. Guidance counselors constantly communicating with the teachers about social interactions, peer groups, and the like. There's a guidance counselor curriculum, social emotional curriculum at the middle school called Second Step. Guidance counselors use that as a vehicle to promote positive peer groups. They take a lot of liberties with that curriculum. It's kind of a canned curriculum. They use some of the materials from Second Step, and they also create a lot of their own materials for those purposes. We are constantly promoting beyond the school day extracurricular activities where kids can really connect with other kids in really positive ways. So we have a little something for everybody. We have something like 27 after-school activities. We have academic activities, math club, science club. We have activities for kids who are interested in sports, intramural sports, low pressure, anyone can participate. We have interscholastic sports where you have to compete. There are cuts, middle school basketball, boys and girls, 7th and 8th grade, and then we have spring track where anyone who wants to participate can participate, but you're still kind of representing your school. We have fine arts clubs, movie clubs, and so we're really promoting that. We really want our kids to be well-rounded, and for us, well-rounded means academically you're trying a lot of different things, exploratory classes, core academic classes, art, phys ed, all sorts of things. And then after school, we really encourage our kids to participate in something after school, and that's really where they identify with positive peer groups.
Yep. And it seems like you've had a lot of success with that. A lot of your students are really involved with they find something, there's some niche for everybody.
Yeah, we have about 2/3 of our kids participate in our after school clubs and activities, which is very good.
Yep.
We're always trying to find some other way. We added Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu this year.
Oh, wow.
A few years ago, we brought the spring musical back. So we are always experimenting, adding, enhancing our after-school program.
Awesome. So that's really great. And so not only are they getting sort of lessons in the sort of positive peer stuff through Second Step and sort of reinforcing some of those values, but then they're getting a chance to practice that in some of these various settings, which is terrific. What about ways that the school is able to show that the staff are really invested in student learning and student success and sort of tie why middle school actually does matter in your life trajectory? Why does it matter to be successful in school?
Yeah, so that's always part of what we're trying to do as a staff is to communicate to students that what they do matters, that they're supported, and that their success it translates beyond middle school. Not always an easy message to send at that age, because that age group is they're dealing with a lot of stuff, social and emotional, beyond academics, that it's important to support those things and get the focus back on academics. But I think of a couple of small examples that you could see, anyone who visited the school could see, that would be examples of how the staff is doing that. So one of the things that we do with our students is we like to kind of let them know that as faculty members, as their principal, their teachers, that we were in middle school too, that we were there too. So this year, one of the things that we did, we took photos of ourselves in middle school at those, sometimes awkward stages of our own development, and we put them on either our office doors or our classroom doors. Try to give kids a snapshot of who we were at that age. They know who we are as adults. That we have met with some success as adults, and now we're all pretty level-headed most of the time. And so showing them that, we too were at that age group. We know what it's like to be there. So, in 7th grade, I was in school play, so my very embarrassing picture that my wife dug up for me.
That we don't have, luckily.
That we don't have to show the viewing public, which is very convenient. You know, I was in a school musical, and I have these big glasses on. I was very small in 7th grade, and so that's on my office door right now. And if you walked around the middle school taking a tour right now, you would see that. And at the same time, you would see the colleges that our faculty attended. Those are also advertised. And so we're trying to show students that what they do right now matters. And we're, you know, we're there to support them. So those are 2 ways that you, if you walked around the school right now, you would see that message being sent.
And then you often will do nights that, like Nights of Excellence, or events that feature student work and student accomplishment as well, as a way of sort of sharing that out with the community.
Yeah, we have 3 open houses a year. So one of our open houses is a back to school night, and that's really just for parents to get a look at their child's teachers, to follow the schedule, get a sense of the building, and that's a great night. The second night is a more traditional parent-teacher conference night. And then our third night is our Night of Excellence. So the Night of Excellence has been around for a while, and it's really just a showcase of student work. There's a STEM showcase night that we do. There's a showcase night that we do for 5th graders and their families, where they come up and they visit the school. There are art nights. We have fine arts nights. We have concerts, choral and instrumental. And so there's a lot of nights that we have dedicated to really just showing off why academics matter and what kids are doing academically at the school, so people can see that and students can get a sense of how valued that stuff is, their academic performance, their hard work, how we value it as a school, and how it's valued in the greater community.
Right. And you've done stuff where you've brought folks back to talk about their career paths too, right? You often will do that with folks in the community as well, sort of linking that academic piece to here's where I am today in the community. Yeah,
all year long we have guest speakers who come back to do that. We've had folks from the military to come back to speak about what that's like. We've had engineers and designers come in to speak to our STEM students, kids who are learning about the engineering process, to talk about how that works. We had one of the project managers from Consigli, the company doing the new high school. They have come in to talk to some 8th grade classes, connecting to math and science and engineering, about the real world applications of those things. And then for 8th graders, every year, it's this Thursday, we have a career day where we have I think we have 28 visitors coming this Thursday, and they'll speak with our 8th graders about all sorts of career fields. So we have a teacher coming in, we have graphic designers, we have industrial designers, veterinarians, Stoughton Police, Stoughton Fire Department, all sorts of folks who come in and they kind of talk about what their career is, how they got there, and then the nice thing they do for our students is they make that connection to middle school. And it's nice for our kids to hear how, you know, most of them don't know what they want to do yet.
Right.
And so these folks will come in and say, I didn't either.
Right.
And so, but this thing that I was interested about in 7th grade ultimately came to fruition in my new career field, and this is how. So that's a great day. That's this Thursday.
Oh, awesome. Great. And then the 4th piece that they talk about is sort of the environment at the middle school. So both the physical environment and then the environment that's sort of created out of, you know, having a guidance staff that's available to students and various policies. So to wrap, why don't we talk a little bit about what are sort of some of the supportive things that are happening?
Sure.
You mentioned the high school, which I think is, even though, I mean, because all of our middle school kids will end up there, so the fact that the community invested in this high school, I think, is a huge thing for students. I imagine some of your kids are excited that they will
very
all
much so
ultimately be in that school, right?
Yeah.
Which is really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, and the new high school building, we're on the same campus. We're situated just at the bottom of what is now the access road, which will be gone in the next couple of years, but there'll be a new access road.
I didn't know that.
And even though our current students aren't, you know, they know their school isn't being rebuilt, you know, they're not going to have the brand new school. It's only 3 years, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, so they can all see the new school that they'll be in. So just having it on the horizon, literally, just outside the windows, has a big impact on their own school environment. It has a big impact on their attitude about their school system, about what's in store for them when they get to high school. So even though we're not getting, the high school is not my building,
Right.
because it's situated so close, it really does have a pretty significant impact on my school environment. And yeah, we've done a lot of work since I started as principal at the O'Donnell Middle School on the school environment, both in a literal sense. So part of what I did and what the staff did when I started down there was we really wanted to have a boost for school pride and school spirit.
Yep.
And a part of that was the environment for sure. So we've done a lot of work down there. We've renovated the Library Media Center, which really needed some renovation. There's new carpeting in there. The print collection has had a complete and total update, cleanse. We got rid of a lot of the old reference materials, new furniture, a lot more technology. We've had a lot of students and their art teachers who have done a lot of murals. If you visit the building, you would see a lot of student artwork. There's new display cases. There's a new sign out front. It's not brand new, but we put it in a couple years after I started. The gym got painted. The gym floor got redone. We put a projection system in the cafetorium. There were a lot of facelifts and upgrades to the physical building that really needed to be done. And we added a school spirit day right before Thanksgiving. We added the back to school night.
Yep.
We did a lot of work for the Night of Excellence. So we did a lot of bolstering of the pride and the spirit in the building and the physical building to try to improve the environment. We added coursework for students who struggle in the two major academic areas in math and ELA. We added support classes for those kids during the school day so they wouldn't get left behind and fall way behind in grade levels. That had a big impact. We added the school musical. We have that at the middle school. We do not have a great stage or sound system or lighting, and that we could very easily have the spring musical at Stoughton High School in their auditorium, but we have that at the middle school on purpose because we want that to be a night where we can show off in our own building, and we do that on purpose. And there's lots of little things that we do like that that I think have added to the school environment. This year we did a lot of work with cultural competence, and we were hearing from some students who felt a little disconnected from the faculty, a little disconnected from their school. We really weren't okay with that, so we did a lot of work with students, cultural competence for students, cultural competence for our staff members, and that all has to do with school environment.
Yep. Awesome. Excellent. So it looks like that happened really fast. We're out of time.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
So I want to say congratulations again to you for your
thanks.
award, and the middle school is an awesome place for our students. I think we're lucky to have you at the helm over there, and
Thank you very
that
much.
so many amazing things are happening that we could obviously talk for hours.
Yep.
But that's just a snapshot for our viewers at home, and hopefully that was some stuff that they didn't know before. So thanks again for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right.